The Kwid is Renault's latest offering into the entry-level segment, a cost-effective way of getting into a new vehicle without breaking the bank. Its compact SUV-like styling is certainly not offensive, but admittedly, not to everyone's liking. I quite like it though, I think it's quite attractive. Just look at the chunky grille up front and the nicely formed taillights. Renault offers two trim levels, the Expression and the Dynamique, retailing for $124,900 and $134,900 respectively. You're looking at the Dynamique here. It's distinguished by the addition of fog lamps and the silver mirror covers.
Now at that price, you expect it to be really cheap and nasty. It is built by Renault in India, and it's predominantly for the Indian market. It's supposed to be one of those vehicles that gets people into their very first car. It's that affordable. And they really could have made this a completely stripped out econobox. But the Renault Kwid seems to be pretty well-rounded with actually a couple of nice modern touches. You get Bluetooth, auxiliary input and USB on both models, both the Expression and the Dynamique. But on this Dynamique model, we've got a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system with navigation as standard. It's a cracking system, it's familiar to many Renault owners. Okay, so the interior trim is very plastic, but what do you expect for the price? Fortunately, the things that you have to touch actually don't feel too bad, and it seems fairly decently bolted together. There's electric windows, central locking, aircon, power steering, electric windows up front only though. And there's a surprising amount of space in here. It really is pretty generous, and I'm talking about in space for occupants and in stowage space. There's a lot of places to put things. And then the boot is properly generous. That's 300 litres before you fold the back seats down. And the back seats can be folded down in this case. You do only get one airbag, and that's where the Kwid starts picking up a little bit of criticism, is in terms of safety. Now Renault's made a little bit of a name for themselves, a bit of a reputation for having safe 5-star hatchbacks. This one, 1 star. 1 airbag, no ABS. Yes, there are a few cars in this segment, in this price range, that are offering very similar, but there are others that offer a little bit more. Is this the end of the world though? I don't know. Safety rates really high in terms of choosing a car. That said, I can't recall the last time I actually needed to use ABS on the road, and you can largely reduce the need for ABS just by increasing your following distance and being a little more attentive, predicting traffic situations. But it's that single star that bothers me. The what ifs. And then there's the criticism of the engine, which is a 3-cylinder 1-litre petrol engine, making 50 kilowatts and 91 newton meters of torque. People say it isn't enough, but what they forget is that the Kwid only weighs around 700 kilograms, so it's nice and light and it doesn't need a lot of power. It is going to feel the pinch as soon as you load it up, or a bit of an uphill. It's got a 5-speed manual gearbox, and you can change down a gear or two if you really need to. It has no problem in town and has no trouble keeping up with traffic. The upside is it's beautifully light on fuel. It's got a very small fuel tank, 28 litres. But if you drive it nicely, you'll get about 600 kilometers out of a single tank. That's very good. My one criticism of the motor though is that it sounds awful. It sounds so strained, especially on the pull-away. It's terrible. It doesn't have an interesting sound like the Suzuki Celerio that actually made you want to drive it. This just sounds... sounds like it's in pain. But I suppose that comes down to the lack of sound deadening in the cabin. Another way that they try and keep the costs down. And it really is evident because, well, there's a lot of wind noise and road noise that comes through. Aurora makes the Kwid seem very attractive, luring buyers into the showrooms on a deal of $1,999 per month with a year's free insurance. It's for an Expression model, but it's still not a bad deal, I suppose. Now, both models have got a 5-year, 150,000 kilometer warranty, but they don't have a service plan. That's for your own pocket. And if it was my money, if it was my pocket, I'd be scouring the classifieds. I really would. I'm sorry. For what this Renault Kwid Dynamique costs, I can find a car that handles better, drives better, is quieter, has ABS, it's safer, and yes, okay, so I haven't put the first couple of 1,000 kilometers on it, but at least I haven't taken that initial depreciation bar.